Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford wants Soto. Let's have some fun today. Don't have to adjust your monitors. I am in Azerbaijan, and I forgot to bring my camera, so I'm a little blurry, a little bushier beard, trying to fit in. All good though. We're fine. If you're wondering where Baku, Azerbaijan is, you're in luck, because I didn't know where it is either. So just to show you how safe I am, this is the Ukraine-Russian border. Nothing crazy happening there. This is Israel, and this is Iran. So the missiles are going like this. And RJ's right here.
A little lip right there. A little peninsula.
A little tip right there. That's Baku right there at the end. So
it looks like RJ Piston is little teeny weeny hanging out there.
Just getting into the lake, right? So at the tip of that penis, and war zone, me right there. So it should be fun. I don't know if I'm dumb or brave, but I never get scared when I travel abroad. I don't know why. Dumb, brave, I don't know the answer.
A little bit of both.
A little from column A, a little from column B. 80 days until Raiders opening day. This is the one that's starting to feel long because you went from 87 to 80 without drop. Like the first digit didn't change. I feel like this is always the hardest one because we get really excited when we start at 100. Yeah, like it's gonna feel like it goes faster later, but the 87 to 80 is like it's so far away. I want it. But with that said, because we're entering kind of the vacation era, right? OTAs just ended, and then training camp resumes in like 5 weeks. We think we bring back our question of the day. And our question of the day, let us know in the comment section. Hottest sitcom star of all time. Hottest sitcom star of all time. And there's not a lot of wrong answers.
There really isn't any.
There's a lot. It's mostly quality answers. There's a lot to pull from. We have decades and eras. A lot of hot moms, a lot of hot daughters, a lot of hot neighbors. A lot to pull from. I went with just pure, no nostalgia, no personality, just pure sexual dominance. Nikki Cox from Unhappily Ever After. She gets forgotten sometimes. Dude. Oh, that's just the best boob shot. Yes, that is the best picture I could find.
I remember her in a blue top looking.
Dude, I'm not even a redhead guy, but just the chassis on her, the thick hair, it's a rack that makes you want to stand up and beg for buttermilk. She reminded me of my mother, all right. That's for sure. What movie is that from? Let us know in the comment section. And she went downhill, and these are just a few prime years because she disappeared for a while. And then remember the show Las Vegas, that terrible show?
God.
Las Vegas? Dude, she lost like 30 pounds, did way too much work on her face. Way too much face stuff. Dude, it went downhill quick. But dude, I don't think Nikki Cox in her prime as a sitcom beauty. Got a lot of us through puberty. That old Nikki Cox and her last name kind of,
can't go
insinuated.
wrong.
Yeah, insinuated.
Can't go wrong. Well, I chose these. I had my choice because it was a mother-daughter team, which is
cheating, but not cheating.
No, it's the same sitcom, and it's a mother-daughter duo, same DNA in the storyline. But from the George Lopez show, the daughter-mom combo. So Carmen was played by Maciela Lucia, and Angie was played by Constance Marie. Mm-hmm. And that is my freaking bang bang double up of the day. These are probably my favorite porno. The mother-daughter combo. Somehow it's my mother-in-law, and that's her daughter. Like that's my stepmom, and that's her stepdaughter, but they're still living in the same house somehow.
Yep.
So I don't ask questions. Okay. I just hit play.
Oh, no, we can't do this. But no, we're not blood related. It's okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And then mom comes in and says, that's not how you suck a dick. and then like teaches her how to do
You're
it.
gonna get pregnant that way. Let me show you how to really do it. What? Let me show you the loophole. What?
I remember I turned like 20 or 21, and I had this conversation with Dane, our mutual buddy Dane, and we had like a dead serious conversation. We're like, buddy, we are at the prime age to pull off a mommy-daughter combo. We're 20.
Yeah, the
We're
mommy-daughter
like
bang bang.
daughter. Yeah. The mom's, a young mom, 20 years old, she'd be like 40, early 40s. Like we're the perfect age, dude. We're the perfect age to pull off a mommy-daughter combo. We had a genuinely serious heart-to-heart about it, as if it was like really going to happen. But yeah.
You two slapdicks didn't know what the hell you were doing.
No, but we did it with gumption and excitement.
Made
it up with enthusiasm. That's the key.
All that matters is you thought you could do it.
We got very jacked about it. So that's the question of the day. Hottest sitcom star of all time. Let us know. Comment sections. Dying to hear yours. All right. Raiders training camp dates. Rookies will report July 17th. The entire team has to report July 22nd. OTA is officially over. A few weeks of OTAs are over. I think it was 7 practices that media was allowed to watch. So we're trying to, for the next 5 weeks, we're just trying to like what we saw from those 7 days, secondhand from whatever media source we choose to listen to. Your biggest takeaways, Soto, from OTAs, and it could be excitement, it could be something concrete, it could be theory. What are you walking away after the OTAs?
I think that the waters have steadied, not the turmoil that we're used to, and just listening to Pete talk about what his goal was for the mini camp and OTAs and all that stuff. He's said over and over again, we just want to know what these guys can do. We want to know what these guys can do well. And these 5 weeks are going to be spent, the coaches are going to be spending the time figuring out how to get the best out of these guys off of what they've shown us. And they've also been very realistic. All the coaches have. They said, look, so-and-so looks great, but we'll see when the pads come on. That's when you talk about all the young guys and the rookies, you hear that over and over again. As far as players, we've heard a lot of great things from Dante Thornton. We heard a lot of great things from what the fuck is his name? Darian Porter. 2 guys that are running with the ones, primarily. So these are things to kind of, stick in your back pocket. A lot of great things about Ashton Genty. Just stick that stuff in your back pocket, see what happens, when the pads come on and it gets a little bit more real. And we'll go from there. But I just think it's a very workmanlike, very measured approach. And Pete Carroll said it in his presser. He said, with these young guys, figure out what they can do well and just ask them to do that. Don't ask them to do anything that they don't do well. And then as they grow, as the season goes, they can be heavy contributors. And he said, that's how you do it with freshmen in college. That's how you do it with rookies in the NFL. I've done it years and years and years. So he's used to it, and he's got a game plan.
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of what you said. It feels stable, a stabilizing force. With all the new changes, the on the field ones, the sideline ones, and back and front office ones, you can feel a little bit of a stability. Everything Spytek's doing, it keeps telling me this is a building year. Again, there's a difference between a GM and a coach, right? Pete Carroll's like, go, get the best out of you can, because there's no salary cap and effort, right? Like it's just, you're trying to get the best out of your players. But I feel like Spytek's like, okay, let's save a little cap space. Let's get our rookies playing. Cause that's why I think they really want Darian Porter and Dante Thornton to get some playing time, because this isn't, again, not a throwaway year. We're still going to try our best, but it's like, okay, if we have a rookie or a 5th year guy, they're about the same. We want the rookies to get the playing time, get the experience, and get better. So I think that will take a front seat in a lot of ways. And like you mentioned, Ashton Genty, according to our reports, he's been a huge part of the passing game, which he wasn't really in his last year at Boise State, that much of the passing game. And even 2 seasons ago, when he did have a lot of passing yards, it was a lot of just like swings and like dumps out of the backfield, as opposed to like lining up in the slot and things like that. So I I think that's the biggest things from OTAs, and then Christian Wilkins' status. The bummer one out of all of them is he's not there. But it seems like Max Crosby's back and doing well. Malcolm Kuntz is back from injury and doing well. You have 3 season ending injuries on the D line, and 2 of them come back roughly 100%. We won all 3, but realistically,
that's a good percentage back. To your point about, we're going to try to win, but the front office is kind of hedging their bets a little bit. Pete said himself, he's like, we're going to take this as far as we can take it. We're going to try to go as far as we can. And in the NFL, as far as you can take things is playing in February. And so that's his goal. And he said, I don't know any other way to do it. We're not trying to win a couple games more. We're not trying to improve a little bit. We're going to try to take this as far as we can go. And, that's the message going forward. This is not like a wasted year or a building year. This is, let's get in there and let's, we're just as capable of winning games as anyone else. So that's a good way to put it, because I think a lot of people are thinking how you're like, they're making a lot of moves for the future and this and that. But, he was saying how, we need to force these rookies to play because we're going to count on them when teams should be peaking. We're going to count on them to be contributors. So we need to figure out what they can do well during games. It could be different from practice. It could be the same things as practice plus more, but they need to figure that out. And the way you do that is you get them on the field.
Well, let's get into that. Here's Pete Carroll at a press conference, I believe, for earlier this week.
Yeah, this is what we're asking these guys to do to play as well as anybody that plays this game. We're not setting expectations, try to win a few games and make some progress. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to take this as far as you can possibly take it, and see the only perspective that they have heard from me, and that's the only one I can even imagine. I can't even think anywhere else.
Did Pete Carroll say Super Bowl or bust?
Pretty much.
Anything less
without saying it, that's how
the Lombardi Trophy is a failure.
That's the only way you can take that. In the NFL, as far as you can take it, means Super Bowl.
Yeah, and again, I think a GM's job and a coach's job are 2 different things, right? A GM's job is to field the best team as possible, have longevity while also planning for the future, right? That's the GM's job. Is let's get as good as we can, get the best players on the field as possible without selling our future, unless we're in a Super Bowl window and then they make that calculated risk, except blah, 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 right? That's the GM's job. Coach's job is to always get the most out of every player all the time, no matter what, no matter the scenario, no matter if you're 0-10, 10-0, the Eagles roster or the Patriots roster, all that's irrelevant to a head coach. All that's irrelevant. We are trying to get the most out of our players, teach them the system, teach me better at football, have the highest of goals. So yeah, no, Pete Carroll's job is to say, or to think and to hope and to put in the minds of the players, we're a Super Bowl team. We're going to go win that Super Bowl. And when he's at the podium, he's not talking to you and me. He's not talking to the media. He's talking to his players. That's his goal. That's his point.
Idiot.
He just climbed across Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, what a jerk. So it's the message that he is giving every single day. This is not a one-time thing or when he feels like it thing. This is an everyday thing. This is our goal, and we're going to work at it every single day. He talked about it when he talked about turnovers. It's something that you need to enforce every single day. Every single time we go out there, we're telling the defense, we need the ball. That's your first objective, is getting the ball. And the way, it's not so much your message as how you deliver it. And if you deliver the message in a way that the players can receive it and digest it, and it starts to become part of them, then the belief is going to be there during a rough game or after a rough half or something like that. They're going to stay up because their goal is to take it as far as they can.
And the consistent messaging is important, right? So when there is a down year or something, the players don't play that way or feel that way, right? Or if it's a big year, right? It's just constant, consistent messaging. It's excellence is like the relentless pursuit of perfection. Like you're may never achieve it, but that's the pursuit in everything you do. Like when you sit down to eat, are you ordering an ice cream or broccoli, right? Like what's going to win you a Super Bowl? When you're on that last rep, right? Are you going to half-ass it at 8.5 or are you going to do all 10? What's going to get you to the Super Bowl? And I think it's that just constant messaging, which is what you want. So how are we going to get there? Why does this feel different? Soto, why is this season different? Well, Albert Breer and Connor, we had him on the show. What's his name?
Hunter Orr.
Hunter Orr or Connor Orr?
Connor Orr. O-R-R.
They have a podcast together. And this is something that I haven't heard a lot of people really talk about. But, and because it's not like the fun, sexy football part, we'll get to that part shortly. But the reason why you can't say, oh, it's just the old Raiders again, is this reason, right? You can always say, no matter who the new head coach, new quarterback, new coordinators, new strength and conditioning coach, new secretary, new janitor, like you can always say, well, it's still the old Raiders because the old Raiders at the top are making the decisions. This is why we're not the old Raiders anymore.
I think they wanted to reestablish credibility. And like with Brady coming in as the owner, and I think what people haven't paid attention to with the Raiders is how Brady brought in these other big money guys, right? So there's Mike Mellott, who is the founder of Discoveryland, which for people who don't know, that's the company that built the Yellowstone Club. So like big money. And then Egan Durbin's the name you hear a lot in NFL circles. He's the CEO of Silver Lake. And Tom Wagner, who's Tom Brady's business partner.
That who is running this organization now, those businessmen and Tom Brady, not Mark Davis from PF Chang's. And just to put a little like context in this, right? He mentioned Egan Durbin from Silver Lake, right? The Raiders are probably valued at like $6 billion, right? $5, $6, $7 billion is what an NFL franchise goes for ish these days. Egan Durbin, Silver Lake CEOs, has $105 billion in assets. This motherfucker is running like even if he owned the Raiders outright, it would be like me having a paper route. It would be like the lowest, easiest part of my day. Him running a multi-billion-dollar NFL franchise. This is child's play. This is the CEO of Starbucks running a lemonade stand, right? That is who is involved in running this organization. It's not a mom pa store anymore. The Las Vegas Raiders are a international brand with the brightest and richest minds and the deepest pockets out there running it.
Yeah, it really is a big deal. I know a lot of, we heard a lot of comments. I read a lot of comments of people who were like, it doesn't matter. The owners doesn't matter. It doesn't translate to the field. Well, yeah, it does. It really does. Leadership up top really does trickle down to the field. And you're seeing that right now.
Show me one NFL franchise with a shitty owner that's consistently successful. Like the Redskins were garbage forever. They had like 1.5 seasons of a new owner, playoffs. Like it just doesn't happen. Only good owners have consistently winning franchises.
You take a look at the decisions that this ownership has made with the head coach and the coaching staff. This coaching staff, I'm talking about even the position coaches. This is like an all-star coaching staff. These guys are guys who have done it at multiple places, done it at a high level, and know how to get the best. These are all teachers. These aren't implementers. Like Josh McDaniels is more of an implementer. He's going to implement his scheme and fit you into that. These guys are all teachers, and they're Put a guy here, put a guy there. These guys are all teachers here. Chip Kelly's offense is completely different from the last time he was in the NFL. Completely different. These guys are all going to get the best out of these players, and they're going to do their best to put them in positions to succeed. And you don't get this type of coaching staff by penny pinching and be like, well, this guy is good enough. There is no good enough. Who's the guy that we need to get? Let's go out and get him. Let's pay $6 million for Chip Kelly. Let's make sure that we're the first phone call after Liam Cohen is announced as the head coach. he's going to sign as the head coach of Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's make that phone call right away to Patrick Graham and get him back on board. Let's get the position coaches that we need to get. Let's get all these guys together to make sure that we're doing everything we can to win right now. And leadership in business, in life, in sports, in anything, is you have to get good people around you that make good decisions. And, they were in the position to put the money up, and they did. They spent a lot of money on this coaching staff, and it's not because they had 102 coaches like we had last season. It's because the guys that they picked have a good price tag to them because they're that good.
And Breer elaborated on exactly what you're talking about.
Ben Johnson and his agent basically went through potential suitors in November and December and looked at it and said, okay, here's who we're gonna kind of pick and choose who we interview with. And then they kind of got ahead of it and told certain teams like, hey, don't bother we don't want to embarrass you. Just don't put a request in. We're not going to interview you, right? We're not going to interview with you. So they did that with the Raiders. And then the Raiders came back and said, well, wait a minute, like, let me put you on the phone with Tom. And so they put him on the phone. They put Ben Johnson's camp on the phone with Brady, who basically explained to Ben Johnson, like, look, like, this is going to be completely different. And after about an hour and a half on the phone, all of a sudden now Ben Johnson is interviewing with the Raiders. Now, they didn't wind up getting him, but I do think a big piece of that was we're not going to be a cash poor team anymore. We're going to have resources. We're going to pour into the organization. We're going to pour into the football operation. This is going to be a whole new thing. And I think it wound up being an intriguing job to coaches because of that, because this is like being on the ground floor of something.
So you're asking, how does that translate to wins? How does that give us better players, better coaches, et cetera? It's like, that's how they're adults in the room at the Raiders. Before, to get good people on the Raiders organization, you had to just overpay them. We were that team. It's like, all right, let's just cash out with the Raiders. Now we can still overpay, and we do, and it's a destination. And don't second guess the whole getting on the ground floor or something, to be able to say, like, you bought stock low. Right? You bought stock low, and you bought Bitcoin in 2016, right? Like, don't underestimate that appeal for a lot of people as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, in this sense, we're not really overpaying. We're paying a lot, but we're getting more for what we're paying for. In the past, because there were some issues of, this team is kind of cash strapped at the time, or there a lot of turmoil. You're not going to get the number one A1 guy out there. And the guy that you do get, you do have to pay him like that, because you got to pay him more to go to your franchise. And it's not just head coach we're talking about coordinators. We're talking about, position coaches, stuff like that. Guys that really make a huge difference on the team. Because the coordinators are great. The coordinators, call the plays and draw them up and they put the players in the positions. But as far as development, you really need those position coaches to be able to do that.
So Brady is again, I can't stress enough. Like, we think, NFL sports is the biggest thing. It's not the pimple on the ass of like international economics, international business. Like, it's nothing. Like, good example. Mark Waller, who's buying the Lakers, right? $10 billion to buy the Lakers. Biggest US franchise sale in the history of sports, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, that's huge. It's such crazy money. Mark Waller is the CEO of Guggenheim Partners. They have $325 billion in assets. Again, this is child's play to them. This is nothing. Like, this is like, it's like the biggest money, the biggest deal ever. This is nothing. Like, they grow and destroy nations on a whim. People of this position of power. You think a pro sports franchise is going to baffle them? Like, these are motherfuckers that can just call the president and get something done, right? That's what Tom Brady brought to this organization. We went from a ma and pa franchise to the richest, most connected people in the world being invested in us. And Tom Brady was that bridge. That's how big Tom Brady is he's dragging this tiny little thing called the NFL and pulling in the biggest movers and shakers on the planet. And Tom Brady's that catalyst that's bringing it all together.
It's just business. It's smart business. And it's it's not rocket science, but a lot of people want to do things their own way. And sometimes it ends up working, but most of the time it's just you're swimming against the current, and you're looking to hit the home runs. And maybe you'll hit one or two with a position coach here and there, but ultimately you need to have a whole organization that's not only competent but has the same goal in mind. And getting these guys in a good mix of guys that have worked with Pete in the past, and a good mix of guys that know Pete, a good mix of guys that have never worked with him before but are good coaches, and getting them locked up and getting them in the facility. So it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal.
Moving on to Christian Wilkins, and I said this is going to be the biggest story of the offseason. I believe it still is. He was just such a center focus of our defense last season, opened everybody up. And if we get him back, when we get him back, what version of him we get back is so important to this defense. Like the offense, it's still kind of coming together, but there's just so many stars. If this isn't a good offense, something went wrong. Right? It just didn't implement, didn't jive. Like the pieces we have in place for this offense, it should be good. If the O-line plays better than expected, it could be great, right? But it should be with just what we have now, and even moderate expectations for our rookies, it still should be a good defense or a good offense. The defense, you really got to squint. Like a lot of guys are going to have to play better than what they've shown before for this to be a good defense, and Christian Wilkins would be a big part of that. You listened to the Just Win podcast with Ted Wynn, and they spoke to an orthopedist, right, about Wilkins?
Yeah, Deepak Chana or something like that.
That's a good name. That's a doctor's name for sure. I don't want like a Jeff Smith as a doctor.
Deepak Chona.
Yeah, that's a doctor. I'm going through Yelp. That's a doctor I want to go to. If I can't pronounce your name, I know you're a great doctor.
For sure. That's the dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The main thing that was communicated was this is not an injury that is going to, it can take some time to heal properly, but once it does heal properly, it's a very, very low re-injury rate. He talks specifically about Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry a few years ago had the exact same injury, and in the 3+ years since he had that injury, you haven't heard about it once. He's still out there carrying the ball like crazy and everything. And he said that the way that it's because it's basically a broken bone that leads to one of the toes is the big problem. So what they do is they just screw the bone back together and wait for it to heal. So when that happens, it's either there, and it's the main issue, and what's something we talked about previously was the blood flow. The blood flow to that bone isn't always the best. So when it heals, it could either not heal all the way, or it could not heal properly. So they have to either redo the surgery or just wait for it to heal longer as the blood gets there and flows, and it just takes a little bit longer to heal. He said that the fact that he was back in the boot is not a huge deal, and now that he's back off of the boot, it shows that he should be okay for training camp. And if he's back at 100%, you shouldn't see a problem with it again if they waited long enough for it to heal properly. Because he said if it heals properly, it has an extremely low re-injury rate.
Well, that's amazing news if true, right? Because the big thing is like with almost every other injury, once you take a step back, it's like 17 steps to get back where you were.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the story the picture he's painting is, okay, this thing's taking longer to heal, so we're just going to wait. Let's double, triple make sure that it's healing, because then once it's solid forever.
Pretty much. He said that if you needed to do surgery again, they would have done surgery again already. They would have known. Worst case scenario with this injury, you have to do surgery twice or multiple times. But if surgery was needed, it would have happened already. You would have known already that you need to get surgery again.
So he's predicting he's back at training camp 100%.
Yes. So I wrote down here the notes. Best case scenario: if the bone fully heals, refracture rates are low. Wilkins could return to full performance without lingering issues, similar to Derrick Henry. Worst case scenario: if the bone fails to heal, a revision surgery might be needed. Though Chana believes this would have likely occurred already if necessary. That's what I talked about right just now. Current status is reported off the walking boot, suggesting progress with expectations he'll be ready for training camp. So Chona is optimistic Wilkins can regain strength and perform at his expected level if he progresses through training camp normally. So I don't see that this coaching staff is going to put him in a position, him being Christian Wilkins, pronouns pal, put him on the field sooner than they're absolutely sure he's 100%. And that facility is top notch over with the Raiders. So they have all the doctors and everything there, all the rehab staff there. That's why a lot of the guys stuck around, because the facilities are just amazing. So for Wilkins, he's in very good hands. The fact that he's off the boot again is very good news. And he's, got another 6 weeks or so until he has to report for training camp. So I think he's going to be okay.
When I was in Atlanta last week, when the the UFC was there, and I'm in the back, they put the media room where like the practice court is at the State Farm Arena. It's like where the Hawks practice, and that's where like the media room is. They like the weight room that was there. It looked like a junior high school weight room, like rusty benches, just like random, just like free weights in the corner next to the basketball facility. And it's like, this is a professional NBA franchise. And it looks like a backyard frat house gym. That's like, it blows my mind how many facilities have just complete garbage facilities.
The Wormhole gym was better than that one.
Dude, the Wormhole gym, you get yourself jacked in there, man.
That was pretty nice.
Work hard, play hard.
I still hold the bench press record at the Wormhole gym. I'll tell you that right now. And I was super drunk.
I think you're the only one that tried.
And I had Chief pushing the freak one side of the one side of the bar down. I was pushing.
All right. In more uplifting news. So Henry Ruggs III popped back into the news. He, as part of a program with Hope for Prisoners, it's a Las Vegas based nonprofit. It's trying to help incarcerated people reintegrate into society. Henry Ruggs did kind of like a talk or like a speech or something like that, talking about like how sad he was for the death of Tina Tinter. Obviously, that's who passed away, her and her dog. And the dog. Yep. November of 2021. Because he's up for parole August of next year. So the big news here is, he got to speak publicly about it, apologized, all that kind of stuff. The other thing is Josh Jacobs is telling everybody who will listen that he's telling teams Henry Ruggs, when he comes back, he wants to play. And he's saying that there's some interest out there. So I don't know about Henry Ruggs saying, hey, I want to meet her parents and apologize in person. I don't know if I'd want that, but anyway, a lot to unpack here, Soto.
Yeah. I mean, so basically it was he's not paroled. He's not on release or anything. He was driven in his shackles to the event. He was uncuffed and he was, led to the podium, and he gave his speech, and he was taken back to jail. So it wasn't like he was released or anything like that. Some people were like, "Oh, I can't believe he's out." No, he's not out. He just did a speech. So I can see that there's some teams that are interested, maybe on a futures deal or something like that. Because he's 26 now, so realistically, even if he's paroled in August, he won't play next season. He'll need probably a good while to get back into shape. Even in prison, I don't think he's going to be able to stay in the shape that he needs to stay in. So it wouldn't be till the 27 season when he would be 28 years old. It's possible.
And that's best case scenario. That's if he's paroled.
Best case scenario, gets paroled right away.
Possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's best case scenario. And we'll see. I'm not a person to say that people can't improve and learn from mistakes, and he shouldn't be allowed to pursue a career that he was pursuing beforehand. It's going to be a tough sell to the teams. Sure, teams show an interest now. It's different when you have to put pen to paper and give a guy money and deal with the backlash, because there's still going to be some backlash.
I'm a giant believer in when you pay your debt to society,
do your time.
You're back. You've done your time. You're back clean, right? Now, that doesn't mean people have to hire this person, right? That doesn't mean, you don't want to deal with that backlash. I would not blame a team. Let's put it that way. And you know how I am, right? With Jalen Carter that year, I was like, I don't give a fuck what his driving history is. That's gonna be a story for 48 hours and it'll be over, right? That's who I am. Even that like extreme version of me, I don't blame a team for saying, you know what, Henry, best of luck to you. You served your debt. We don't want the PR nightmare. When
it's not us.
When Michael Vicks does that Fox Morning show, and Vicky, my wife, walked in. She's like, "Is that Michael Vick?" It's like, we let a dog murder on TV, and like turned around and walked away. Like that, and this was 15 years after that happened, right? Like, you kill an animal, that is never forgotten by a pretty good chunk of the population, let alone a human being also. So best of luck to him. I would, me, I wouldn't mind dealing with it if I thought he could add some value to a team. But I understand a lot of people aren't like me.
Yeah. If there's a coach out there that can sell this to not only a front office and ownership, but to a fan base, it's Pete Carroll. You're talking about a guy who, and didn't advertise this, and he would go out and, if you guys don't know where the campus of USC is, it's not in the best area, and he would go out into the projects and the neighborhoods and just talk to guys by himself sometimes. And he would just say, "Hey guys, what do you guys need? How can we help you guys?" And he would give his legit cell phone number out to these guys who were, guys who were from the area and maybe needed a little bit of help or needed some guidance or whatever. And he did that on his own. And he's a guy that kind of lives the talk. And yeah, if there's a guy that can go out there and sell with honesty and a genuine message to someone who needs, a second chance, I mean, I would say Pete Carroll is that guy.
You know how, like, in politics, they'll be like, "Oh, this president or this senator or whoever, like, they don't have enough political clout to pull this off," right? Like, like, they're popular enough with their base, they've got enough of Congress on their side, and they can pull off this like thing that might be unpopular, right? Like, oh, he's got the political clout to do that. It would also require an owner, GM, and coach with that kind of clout, if you will, to where, like, all right, these are good guys, they're winners, very respected in the league. Like, if Josh McDaniels brought it on, you'd be like, this piece of shit, He
only cares about winning and losing and blah, blah, blah.
If it's like the Eagles and Howie Roseman, be like, oh, okay, this is a good organization. They could bring him along. You know what I mean? It's going to take a franchise with quote unquote clout to be able to pull this off. And if it is the Raiders that get him, it would have to be after a really feel good year, right? Next season would have to be, and when I mean by feel good, it's like, it doesn't have to be a Super Bowl winning year, but it has to be like things went well, people improved, the locker room was great. They lost the close ones to teams that were just better, and there's nothing really you can do about it. But just like it would take a year like that where the fan base is like, I believe in these guys. These guys this year proved to us that they know what they're doing. And if they say that Henry Ruggs can come back and he won't be a distraction, he's a changed man, I believe them. But it's gonna have to come from someone like that.
Yeah, it's is it probable? Not too probable that it's going to be the Raiders. But if there was a possibility of it happening, I think the current regime that's in place right now would be the guys that could kind of sell that, because you're going to need to sell a fan base more than anything else.
Yeah. What if he's just been like, just getting prison strong this entire time. Like he comes out
Like
of prison,
functional
he's just fucking. He can't catch balls anymore because his pecs are in the way. He's just like prison sculpted.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. I've been telling the fighters at the gym, don't worry about these beach muscles, man. Just worry.
Yeah.
It's all calisthenics and kettlebell workouts. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Get that people moving strength.
I want to see him like prison strong, just for effect.
Mike Epps,
homemade tattoos.
Mike Epps, the comedian, had a bit where he was talking about if Michael Jackson actually went to jail. It's like imagine Michael swole as hell walking around. Come here, Bubbles. So I'll just yoked out running the freaking yard.
That's what I want to see. Prison sculpted Henry Ruggs III. All right. We're not all just dick and fart jokes, you know? Like
mostly.
We'll do some wholesome content every now and then. That Alex Kappa presser this week with his son.
Freaking hilarious.
Adorable. We put this on our Instagram and as a short, but I wanted to share it with everybody on the big show.
It's a great opportunity. I think it's a team with a lot of potential. Play football, that's right. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for him and how he operates, and he wants to bring in people who do things the right way. Oh, yeah. And then obviously we got a lot of playmakers. So.
Pete Carroll was just talking about having... I actually had a question for the kids.
I think I had that exact.
Play football, do okay. That's a good quote.
Shield and logo on a black shirt.
Because they have a new way of doing things. I mean, we saw a bubble out there with an equipment manager inside of it. He's wrestling offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Stretch.
This kid's
what have you
still in
seen
diapers. You can
guys
see the
adjusting
diapers
to
on his
this
shorts.
unique
Big bubble,
Look how
but
huge he is.
every day we
He
start
can't be big.
It's like
practice
not
with high
two.
energy.
He's got to
And
be
it's an
probably
everyday
not
thing.
two yet.
It's not an act with him. He really brings it every single day.
Like you're potty
You're a player
trained.
that you
It's
did at
way,
that
way
level,
late if
but
you're potty trained.
last year
You're not
maybe
potty
there
trained
was
by
a
3.
little bit of struggle.
At oldest 2.
How do you
And he's
respond
not
to that?
good.
How do you respond to
He's the
maybe a
same
year that
size as
didn't go
Kappa's
the way you
torso.
wanted it to?
He's big.
I mean, every year I'm trying to get better. And all you
sign
can
that
do
guy
is
to
trust
a
your process.
future
I trust the way
contract
I work. I trust the way I compete. And it's not always going to go your way, but I mean, I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. I have confidence in myself, confidence in this team, and things will be good.
When it comes to Chip Kelly play style, and where's the things that you like about?
All right. Play football, do okay. I think we got a new mantra.
That's one thing I was going to say is he's not 2 years old, and the kid is massive. The kid is huge.
Maybe I'm just speaking because Frankie took forever to potty train, but if you have diapers on, he could be under 2.
He doesn't look because my niece just turned 2 a couple of months ago, and I mean, he's maybe 2.
That's such a giant kid.
That's a big kid, dude.
God. I don't know how big Alex Kappa's wife is, but that's some good genetics. Like sign that kid to a futures contract now.
If you're a guy like Alex Kappa, you're looking at at the potential wife. You're looking at their ankles. All right, I want some sturdy bones. I want some sturdy bone structure here.
How wide are them feet? How wide are they and how fast are they?
How about these big kids?
I want a breeding wife. But yeah, play football, do okay. I wonder what that conversation was like in the house, where that's what he just blurts out all the time. Play football, do okay.
That reminds me of my cousin had a bird. I forgot what kind of bird it was. R.I.P. Both my cousin and the bird, but she was kind of like kind of a wild child, and her name is Jessica. So the bird, because my aunt and uncle were always yelling at her, so the bird just started saying Jessica, Jessica, because they were always yelling at her. That's what the bird would say over and over again. So the bird died. The bird had died. Whatever. We went over as a family. And I'm like, what was the bird's last words? Jessica.
Jessica.
All right, Pete, Jessica, love you.
Ready to do some What Up Windbags?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right. Sam Demand, thank you so much for being a member. I've called our record within 1 game each of the last 2 years. This year we're going 11-6, and Soto will drink for the playoffs. He's never wrong.
I mean, 10-7, 11-6, 12-5. That's one and one or the other. Mm-hmm. Either way, if we do, I will drink on the post-game show of our last regular season game if it's 10, 11, or 12. Or 10 or more.
We're marking this. That is a legally binding verbal contract. Done deal. Man 8118. If you think this new linebacker is the best linebacker on our roster, you definitely don't know football. I bet he doesn't even start. So do you want to take this one?
What do you want to bet? He is definitely the best quarterback, or excuse me, the best linebacker on this roster. And,
by every metric.
The team wouldn't have signed him to the contract that they did. They're paying him more per year than, anyone else. He's the most accomplished as far as the last couple of seasons. He was not let go due to performance. I don't know what the hell the Bengals are doing over there. They still have a disgruntled superstar pass rusher and a disgruntled budding superstar first round or second round draft pick that they haven't signed yet. It's ridiculous what they're doing over there. Germaine Pratt is definitely the best linebacker on the roster.
He's making more than like the next three highest paid linebackers combined. Ish.
Look, man, it's look, man 8118. That is my biggest peeve ever. When you don't agree with somebody, you say, well, if you think any other way than I do, then you don't know football. Well, people can disagree. And that's just really just annoying and short-sighted to say that, well, you don't know football if you think this. Come on, man. That's ridiculous.
Well, and it's annoying if maybe you have a point. When literally, if you don't think Germaine Pratt starts, you don't know football is the more accurate statement. Like, he's better in every way. And not only not start, so that means he's not even the second best linebacker on the team. Like, to be one of the two linebackers on the team, you're saying you won't even be one of the two? You won't even be the will? That's insane. Like, if he's not the starting linebacker, something is hugely fucked up with him. Like, look, massively wrong.
Who's going to beat him out? Tommy Eichenberg did not show any. Tommy Eichenberg showed last season when he played linebacker, he's just not fast enough to rely on his athletic ability. He's just not. He has to get better mentally to be able to beat people to the spot with reading the offense and taking a good first step, because physically he's just not quick enough to get to the point. I saw it multiple times when he actually played late in the season. Gainer is okay, but he's not anywhere near me. Alanian Roberts is better than him. Devin White, even with his issues, is better. And we'll see what Lindenberg has and see what he brings to the table. But ultimately, you sign this guy for the contract that you do because you expect him to be your starter.
He is the day one of training camp starter. He's the day one of preseason starter. He's the day one of the regular season starter. And it would be amazing if someone beats him out. Like, that would be fantastic. If Eichenberg clicks and he's better, Devin White and Roberts both like just fucking flourish in Patrick Graham's system or whatever it may be, right? Like, this would be incredible if someone beats him out. Because he is the best linebacker on the team, the most experienced, had the best, like, other than Devin White's all-pro year, no one's even gotten close to how good Germaine Pratt's been.
Yeah, that all-pro year was what, 4 years ago?
Yeah. And then he's been like kind of been on two half teams after that, right? So it's
yeah.
All right. There's your bet, man. 8118. Dominic 5. You guys didn't argue. What a boring episode. We especially this one, talking about hot sitcom stars and things we generally agree on. We were 1A, 1B with our hot sitcom stars. We finished each other's sentences with the two we picked. No controversy there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's nothing's really happened yet for us to really argue about anything. So we're trying to our best to bring you guys entertaining content, and don't worry. Once the season starts, we'll have differences of opinion.
And I feel like we argued, even though, like, I think this draft, you and I were basically 90% on the same page on what we wanted, what we hoped, what we expected, and what happened. I think we were basically like, we each had a different guy we wanted at 6 with best case scenario, but the way it panned out, we're both happy with how it went. Yeah, like who's starting, who's not. We're on basically the same page. Contract, yeah, like it's.
I mean, I didn't
Even then
expect
we
us,
still fight.
yeah, I didn't expect us to draft 3 wide receivers, but Tommy Mellott is more of like a special teamer guy, and he also rushed for 3,500 yards in college, so he can be a guy that can do a lot of outside runs and sweeps and stuff like that. So he's technically like a kind of a slasher type of dude. I've said it before. I think he's more Deebo Samuel than Julian Edelman as far as his skill set goes. So, I mean, I guess there is a kind of a mix there, but we all felt that they were going to take a developmental quarterback, and they did. We're going to take a couple of defensive linemen, and they did. A couple of offensive linemen, and they did. So
I said they'd draft 2 running backs, but instead they drafted 1 that plays like 2.
Right. And then, you know, again, and Mellott can be something like that. We'll see how things work out once the pads come on and stuff. But ultimately, you got to take a look at that draft as good an outcome as you can hope for at this time of season. Of course, you want all these guys to be all pros and starters for years to come, but it's not likely.
What do you think? What do you think Mellott's designation will be? QB/WR, just WR.
No, he'll just be WR.
ATH, athlete.
He'll be like either WR, you know, ST, special teams, kick returner, punt returner, something like that. That's where I think he'll be initially.
All right. Well, that's it for us. We'll be back next week. Might have to do a little earlier show next week because it's International Fight Week and I will be slammed. But we'll let you know as that time gets closer. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.